Hey everybody, Nurse Scott here. Doing something very different today. I've been doing for several years now something that I call do one cool thing per year. And every year it's something different. Sometimes I don't even plan it. Today though, and I'll explain exactly how I got into this situation, but today we're going flying in this little airplane right here. It's a Cessna 172, I believe. And I will tell you all about how we got to this point. But right now we're finishing up getting some fuel and we're gonna get up in the air where I just love to be. I'll tell you more about that in just a little bit. You are probably very confused right now. Let me take this off so I can hear myself. I'm not a pilot, I am in a plane. We're doing something very different today. I have a thing I've been doing for years that I call do one cool thing per year. And sometimes I plan it ahead of time, sometimes it kind of jumps up out of nowhere. And I realized that, you know, I can give that advice to people. Go do one cool thing a year. You know, jump out of a plane or, climb a mountain or something. It's a very privileged position. If you can't put food on the table, I realize that. But no matter what your means or what life circumstances you have, I think there's a way to find one thing during that 365 days to do that you can remember. And I guess my only definition for cool thing is something that when you tell other people that you did it, they say, oh, that was cool. So the bar's kind of low, depending on who your friends are. So years ago when I graduated nursing school, one of the things I did for fun was take some flying lessons and learn how to fly a small airplane. It was so much fun. I never did solo. I never learned, you have to learn how to land the plane safely, and I didn't do that on a consistent basis, so that was a good thing that they never let me go by myself. And I let it go and I moved to LA and life happened, but I've always really liked being up in the air and have great memories of doing that. So we're gonna do it again. I found some people that were willing to let me fly. I will tell you more about it later, but right now we're getting ready to get out of here. So here we go. Well, we made it. I don't think I told you where we were going, did I? Going from San Jose down to San Luis Obispo, which is on the Central California coast, and having lunch at the little restaurant that's here. A lot of little airports have little restaurants, and that's what a lot of these private pilots do. They fly in and meet somebody or take their families up or friends up and fly someplace and have lunch and fly back. And so let me tell you a little bit about what's going on. By the way, I've stopped trying to look cute because it was hot. It's hot in here. And when you go up in altitude, the temperature goes down, but it was still hot. So I'm down to a t-shirt and there you have it. So I can't say that I've had an interest in aviation since I was a little kid, although I do remember as a little kid, Dad taking me to the airport and watching the planes take off. But I got a wild hair when I graduated nursing school and took some lessons until I decided to move to California. And then, of course, out here it's more expensive and I was doing other things, you know, how your interests change. But when I was there, I had 20 hours, 22 hours. Didn't solo because you have to be able to land the plane. And but I just love being up in the air. A couple of years ago, an old boyfriend who's gotten into skydiving very seriously invited me to go up with him and skydive when I was back home for Thanksgiving one year, back to St. Louis. And it was fun, but my criticism was, or my commentary was, we didn't stay up very long. I like being up there, and we were coming down, and I was like, oh, it's over already. So a few years ago, I bought a powered paraglider, which is crazy, and went to learn how to use it, and I don't think my instructor liked me. He didn't let me fly all that much, and then my equipment got stolen. So as much fun as that is, it's the most like human flight you can get, because it's just you, this big fan on your back basically, and your paramotor, this paraglider wing, and you're just up there floating around, and it's glorious. So, but flying in any of these is kind of an expensive hobby. So, as it turns out, San Francisco Pride was last weekend, the weekend before, and I happened to stumble across the Gay Pilots group and the Golden Gate Flyers. And I said, I'm not a pilot, I'm not even trying to be a pilot, but I'd love to, I'm thinking about maybe taking another Discovery flight, maybe just to get up there for a half an hour and buzz around. And they said, this might be the club for you. It's not just for the pilots, it's also for people interested in aviation. And today we have a whole table full of people. There's like a dozen people here, and came in 4 or 5 different airplanes. And as we went around and introduced ourselves, it was, hi, I'm a pilot, and several people, it's the loudest truck ever. Several people said, hi, I'm a passenger. I'm not a pilot, I'm not trying to be a pilot, so kind of just like me. And so it was great to be up in the air again, and the pilot that I was with, he let me take the controls for a little while, not a long while, straight and level flight. We weren't doing anything crazy. He's like, just try to fly this heading, try not to drop altitude, and try not to, do anything crazy. And it was great. It was great. You just have to do, I remember as a student before just gripping the controls and overcompensating for everything, and this time I just held it very lightly, and just a little bit of movement, moved the plane around, and it was. I'm glad he just met me and trusted me to do that. But so I appreciate that. And he was telling everybody, it's like, oh yeah, Scott Flo is here. I'm like, oh yeah, I took lessons many years ago, but it's no big deal. I just flew us in here. Not true. I flew straight and level for a few minutes. But like I said, it's, I think, worthwhile doing something cool. At least once a year. Find something, learn a new skill, start drawing or painting, or learn a new instrument, or at least for a little while. You can quit. You can do something for a little while. A few years ago, I took cello lessons. Took them for a while. Never got very good, but it was really fun learning. So I encourage anybody to do that same kind of thing. I think that makes our short time on the planet worthwhile. So I'm going to cut it off here, and when I get back home, I'm going to update you on what's going on with the whole drama surrounding grad school and my preceptor backing out on me and all of that. So I will leave you with some more views from the sky, and then I'll talk to you in just a couple of minutes. So let me show you just some things about the plane here. I'm going to do a voiceover because the wind was so terrible. But I'll try to do my best to do a poor voiceover here. So I want to point out to you nurses watching that there's a lot of similarities between nursing and aviation. You have to learn how a complex system operates. So for nurses, it's the human body. For pilots, it's this thing behind me. In order to make it go, well, in order to change, how fast it's going, you can point it down or add power. If you want to gain altitude, you can give more power or point the nose up, Just like when you see someone's pulse rate go up. You can give them something to bring their pulse down, but what if they're dehydrated? Then you give them fluids. That'll bring their pulse down. What if they're short of breath and their oxygen level is low, and that's why they're tachycardic? Then you need to fix that. So, and you have to use judgment about what to do in a situation. In this case, it's like when to fly or when to go around, what route to take, and what settings to use, and all of that. So, and there's a lot to learn. It's noisier here than in a hospital, I will say that. And also assessment skills. You have to pre-flight the plane, which is examine the plane to make sure it's flight worthy. And of course you look and inspect, but you also feel. And believe it or not, you also listen. You listen to the engine. Does it sound right? And you also percuss. Do you percuss your patients? Do you tap on their chest and see if or tap on their belly, see what it sounds like? Well, on a plane, you tap on the propeller. Because if there's a crack in it, it will sound different. And so you even use percussion. And you use all your senses. Well, not all of them. You don't taste the plane, but you use all your senses to check the plane out just like you do to check a patient out. So there are some similarities there. I was struck with that when I first took lessons years and years ago. So let me show you here. We got to make sure all the parts move. These are the ailerons. Those are the flaps. You can't move those by hand, but these are the elevators there, and also the rudder here. We got to make sure all of this works. Hey everybody, as we watch some footage of us coming in for a landing, I want to give you an update on the preceptor situation. I'm not going to go into more details about my preceptor who dropped me like a hot potato in the middle of a semester. I'm glad to report that I found a new preceptor, although it's through one of those agencies you have to pay for. So it's costing me a little bit of money, but hopefully this will be a bridge to a preceptor, either the same one or someone that she knows that I won't have to pay for the rest of the program. And this has really decreased my stress level, and I'm so thankful because I really hate the thought of exiting the program, even for a while. I feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing, so this is really, really good news. I wanted to share that with you. I mentioned before that I flew this weekend with a gay pilots club, and I got to thinking as we sat around eating the burgers were amazing, by the way. You wouldn't really know it was a gay organization necessarily unless you paid attention. Every once in a while the guys would mention their husbands. There was a few jokes and innuendos here and there, but I think it wasn't the fact that this is a place to talk about gay stuff all the time or whatever that means. Just a place where we can feel comfortable with each other. And although we're not quite there yet, I think we're getting that way. We're getting there in society in general, where we can be ourselves around most of our friends, but still it's nice to have your tribe to go flying with on the weekend and spend some time with. I know I'm going to be spending more time with them, and again, thanks to them for such a great experience. And I do want to encourage you to do one cool thing a year as much as you can. Try to do something that reminds you that you're alive, whether that's go on a nature walk or try something new. It doesn't have to be dramatic, but something to take advantage of this short life. You know, make it worth living. So thanks for joining me. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time.